Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. Don't touch that dial. This is an educational show, and I'm really happy about this show. And it's something about learning, something about the brain exercise. And so call your aunt, your uncle, and your grandchildren, and nieces and nephews, Channel 27, and tell them to turn the TV on, and Channel 27, we got a great show for them, okay? Now, my guest today is a former superintendent of schools in New Jersey. His name is, he got three first names, Howard John Herbert, okay? So can't go wrong there, right? And so really, I watched this little performance or show that he puts on. I guess you call it show, call it entertainment, you call it education. You put it all together. And I was at the Cole Manor School, and he does a great job. And I said, hey, I want you on my show. And so I'm going to introduce to my friend here. Welcome to the Hank Cisco Show. Thanks, now, tell me something about yourself, and how did you get involved? A school superintendent, retired, and you went into this education elementary. Tell me something about you and what's going on.
Before I was superintendent, my involvement in curriculum, and teachers are constantly looking for better ways to deliver the content. And so I've been always involved in hands-on learning, things that have to do with the brain.
Right.
And about 10 years ago, Kellogg Foundation put out some funding to the land-grant colleges, Penn State, Rutgers, Cornell, to start developing programs that would connect the school, the home, and the food industry. Mm-hmm. So out of that, what happened, we were invited to write a program, and I wrote one called Young Consumer for the fourth.
Young Consumer.
Young Consumer. The children, when I visit, there's three parts to the program. You saw the first part when I visited the school.
Right.
And
Cole Manor.
Cole Manor
That's
school.
in East Norton.
Right. Very nice school.
Right.
And what happened is my role was to really prepare the students for a visit to the ShopRite, to the local ShopRite.
Oh.
And so what happens is that they're told that they're going to have a budget, a partner in the class, and they are there to shop for a family of 4 people for about 4 days.
Oh.
And the challenge is to see how close they can get to spending their budget
of $100.
And when they get to the produce department, they must weigh a fruit and a vegetable.
That's good.
So this is the way that I looked at connecting the curriculum, or the math curriculum, the science curriculum, in a meaningful way where the children are actually practicing in an authentic environment things that they need to learn, life skills it's called.
Right.
And so we're very thankful, and being retired, it's wonderful to be able to visit
You
communities.
put all that education and experience, you put it together and helping people. Now, ShopRite is the store that's going to be, how's that going to work now? You're going to get a bunch of kids, students?
Well, the second part of the program is that we're going to have a family night. We're going to invite family members, grandparents, parents, to really participate in the activities. And in a few minutes, maybe I'll show you some of the activities.
Okay.
And I think you'll get a better idea. So what happens is that it's really a community event. Okay. That's the original intent, is not to have the school do everything, but really for this to be a celebration.
Helping out.
Right. You have your corporations, you have your families, and you have your children and teachers. And we're looking to have a celebration sometime in April or May.
Right. And when the students come in there, there'll be something for them to eat, I'm sure.
Oh, I'm sure.
If I know John Flickinger.
The Brown family is very generous.
I know.
They'll have a nice T-shirt that says Young Consumer for safety reasons.
Yeah.
There'll be 2 or 3 of the checkout counters just assigned for the students to check out just as real shoppers. Right. And everyone else is in the store, so the children are going to be doing this
regular shoppers,
just as if they're regular shoppers.
And
so that's one of the
I think there's a clothing store that is called Educated Consumer, an educated consumer, to know, when you go in there ahead of time, what you're going to be looking for, the prices, and
that's right.
Yeah, because a lot of times some stores don't mark the prices on there, but I think they do there, Well, that's this is about not educating, but putting the brain to work, right?
Absolutely. Part of the research that I've been involved with the key point for me is I'm a grandfather now and have 3 grandchildren.
To take care of them.
And so I'm talking to the grandparents and parents out there about what can you do at home, you know, to help your child's brain develop.
And the adults too, you know.
And adults as well.
Same thing with me. I got to exercise my brain, what's left of it, you know. I got to.
But what we do know from the research is that in the early stages of life, they have what's called windows of opportunity, where in fact children are like sponges and can really catch on rather quickly. So the idea is to really create authentic experiences for them that involve their parents, that involve the school, the teachers, in a different way.
Expose them to something, learning something about what's going to be helpful for them, and also they can be shopping for their grandparents, and you know that can't get out of the house.
Absolutely.
That'd be a little job for them too. You know, they could the neighbor might ask them to go do some shopping for them.
That's right.
I think that's a great idea. You know.
So what happens is there's the visits that I'll make to the school. There'll be the family night, and then the students.
Oh, the student, the family. It's at the school.
That's at the school, not at the store. That's right. It's at the school, and then the culminating event will be when we go to the ShopRite for this experience.
Okay.
Now, in addition to just the shopping exercise, we have tables set up in different locations
throughout the store.
Throughout the store. And when we looked at, for example, state tests and things that children need to know and when they need to know it, we've tried to incorporate problems like fractions and percentages and measurement, things that they're going to see. So we have all of these tables set up, and each one has a specific purpose to help the children with what they need to know in school, and do it in a fun way, and do it as a team. It's not a competition. It's really asking children to really use their brains to really solve problems. A heavy emphasis on nutrition. We met with the food trust the other day.
That's a good thing.
Absolutely. It's one thing to talk in class about you should eat this and eat that, but it's really another thing when you can get out there with organizations like the Food Trust that we met.
Yeah, it's a lady there.
Collaborate with them and
help you know what food to eat to be helpful.
That's right.
Be healthy.
That's right.
And how about parents? You're actually educating parents too.
Well, I think
in a roundabout way, you know.
That's right.
They might stand and say, "Well, I don't need it," but
I think when they understand that this is not a threatening program, it's a fun program, but clearly in knowing and looking at the curriculum, like the new math, or that's an old term, but for a parent to sit down and help their children with 3rd grade, 4th grade math, it's sometimes a challenge.
Right.
And so what happens is there needs to be a discussion somewhere along the line of educating parents to help their children at home.
Right.
And there's no better investment than having the parents involved in a meaningful way. There's many activities. I'll give you an example. Chess, the game of chess. I would recommend that every child and parent learn how to play that
My
game.
grandson wants me to play chess. I don't know how to play chess.
But it's
I'm having a hard time with checkers.
It's a good brain game. Actually, when you look at Monopoly, the game of Monopoly, it's one of the best probability exercises.
Well, that's almost like, this is almost something like that, only this is doing it, though.
Exactly. There are things that we used to do. For example, my father was born in 1899, and so there were a lot of hands-on activities like balls and cups and all kinds of things that people did. Jacks, pick up sticks.
Oh yeah,
that involved movement with your hands.
Even that they're jumping ropes. You know?
Exactly.
The
question is, are we losing something by not having children involved in those type of activities? And I think we are. I'm not against the computer, but whenever in fact you have too much TV and too much computer, and that's all the kids do, it's not enough to develop their brain the way we.
Sometimes I have to make some phone calls, make 5 or 6, 7, 8, 10 phone calls in the morning, and I talk to recording all morning. I don't talk to a human being. So come on.
It's a changing world today. For example, if you look at China, China has more honor students than we have students. So if we're going to compete, and the children of today have to compete in the world market, our edge is to really give them the best education we can.
I heard a couple politicians bringing that out about educating. They're talking about longer school hours or extend the school days, rather than having, I forget how many days, school year, extend that, and then rather than having finish 3 o'clock, be finished at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We've been through a number of experiments over the last 30 years, and I think the research points to the children actually learn more at home than they do in school, especially in the early years. They come to school ready. And so what we need to do is to equip parents and community. Think of it as the ShopRite or the local banks all tuned in to really understanding that fractions is a problem that kids are having.
In other words, you're hooking in with the parents, but also with the community. Okay.
Right.
And
It takes a village.
To have a corporation or like ShopRite pick up the tab and help this out, to go in and use their store and and finance this, I think it's great.
And think of extending that to other businesses as well. And suppose and that's what I was impressed by Norristown.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how about give us a little demonstration there?
Okay.
And some of the things that make a kid think a little bit.
All right. This is called a tangram. There are 7 pieces.
Okay, you can explain that to the parents.
7 pieces here, and the
what
first
camera? Right over there.
Okay. The first year that they gave the state test in New Jersey, they gave children a tangram, and then they asked them to solve mathematical problems. So the first thing what we are asking the children to do is learn how to use this manipulative to be able to put a square together. Okay? And we'll leave it at this angle here. So once they know the square, then in fact they're asked to change the pieces to different polygons that they're responsible for. The rectangle, the parallelogram, the trapezoid, and the right triangle. So when we do the family nights and we introduce parents to this activity, we are encouraging them to go home and start talking to the children about some other mathematical concepts. For example, if this is a square, and we have a square here, I hope, that these 2 pieces represent half the square.
This is more like 3rd, 4th grade in that area.
Because their curriculum calls for them understanding concepts like eighths and sixteenths. So if this is half, this then is a 4th, then this piece here becomes a 16th, and here's where the learning comes in. Many students need to see it and touch it in order to understand it. So if this is half a 4th, they'll know that this is an 8th. And then this piece here, the smallest triangle, would be a 16th. So the connection is that the teachers are teaching this at school, but this would be considered a toy or a puzzle, and something that we'd encourage parents to do at home. And that is why ShopRite provides each student with their own manipulative like this. They're great for the refrigerator door. Let me just move this out and show you another one that's a favorite of the students. 2 years ago, I went out to Colorado, where they have the headquarters of the sports stacking. I don't know if you've seen this activity or not, but the kids are encouraged to really learn how to upstack and downstack the cups, and then have a timer here to see how fast they can do it. Now, the reason for this, that I like this activity, is because with your brain, you have a left side, right side, and you really need to have both hands involved in the activity. And then we might try something like, it's called 3-6-3. And that's
how many
an example
seconds?
Well, the world record is, believe it or not, like 3 seconds for what I just did.
Yeah.
And a 5-year-old was on, I think, Regis, and I can't remember her name, but they did a big deal about how, in fact, young children are doing this. When I went out to Colorado 2 years ago, I participated in the grandparent division, or the over 60 division, and had a great deal of fun. In fact, won a world championship in partners. So what happens is I'm an advocate for these kinds of activities that people need to do at home.
Right.
And they are related, in fact, to developing the brain. Movement is a brain function, that we're finding out has more to do with the ability of children to think. As you start doing something with your hands, it gets easier and easier. But if you were to have a look at your brain, what's going to happen is you're going to see these neurons lining up.
Let me see it do that again. Do it real fast.
Okay? Don't put the pressure on me.
I'm gonna get our camera crew to after the show and see how they can do it. In other words, it's a trick of the one you have to slip over, one on top of the other, real fast, right?
Well, there's little holes here for the aerodynamic part, but when you see a child that's practiced it for a couple of weeks, amazingly how quickly they can do this. So one of the old activities, I'm sure you might remember the ball and cup. This is an activity they found at Williamsburg.
It's almost like a yo-yo.
Well, the idea is to see if you can get the ball into the cup. Now, what I'm demonstrating now, if I have to think about this, I don't think I'd be as successful. My brain now is, because of practice, has been able to really be quite successful at do this. So what happens is I'm left-handed, and what we ask the children to do or parents to do is try it with the opposite hand.
The right hand.
And I got lucky that time. So what happens is there's plenty of activities that we're asking parents to consider doing at home and also making a connection with what's happening in school. This is a physical education activity that many teachers are using and teaching the kids the right way of doing this.
Right.
So there's lots more to show, but you'll have to come out to ShopRite and see the kids in action.
We'll do it. Okay. We'll do that. All right. Now tell me your travels now. Since you retired superintendent and you're hooked up on this, what gave you the idea of this? I mean,
well, while I was in my teaching years, I was part of a program called...
You were an elementary teacher?
Elementary teacher, right. I was very fortunate to be in district East Brunswick, New Jersey, where my mentors encouraged me to develop programs like this. So we were involved with programs OM, Olympics of the Mind, way back from 30 years ago. And the formula is, when you have a team of people working on a goal, it usually works.
Yeah,
Think about your sports activities.
Right.
They work because something about working together as a team. That's one of the values that we impress on the students as well. So my travels, we started with 2 schools in 1999, and now we're
1999 started.
Yeah. So it's about 8, 9 years old, and now we're in 5 or 6 different states. I think we're going to be opening Massachusetts.
Oh, yeah.
But it's a family affair. It's my daughter, who's a special ed teacher. It's my best friend who helps cut those manipulatives.
Oh, yeah, good.
And some senior citizens that are helping prepare kits that ShopRite gives to the store.
And now, the only superintendent that I really know was Dr. Holton. He was superintendent of Northtown Schools. And then he became director of executive director of Medical Society. Now he's up in Scranton doing something with helping different nationalities learn the language, and getting them jobs and getting them settled in this country. So it's good that an educator just don't, just go fishing all the time. It's nice to fish in between, but to help other people, I think it's great.
Grandparents are an untapped resource in this country.
They what?
Untapped resource.
Untapped.
We have people, a lot of folks are retiring. I retired at 55, and I've been doing this for more than 10 years. So it wasn't time to go fishing. It was time to really look at ways that you could contribute back to your community.
Right.
And so with the help of sponsorship and knowing what I've learned from being a superintendent, I think the challenge is to activate communities to be user-friendly for families while they raise their kids.
What was the school that you were superintendent of? How many schools were involved?
Kites.
Yeah.
Had 2 elementary schools.
2 elementary.
We were right next to Teterboro Airport, in the Newark area there. And we started by having Teterboro Airport be a sponsor for a program called Dare to Fly. And we were able to bring the kids on overnight trips to the airport. And we had a lot of interaction with the engineers and the pilots, so it was lots of fun. And then I transitioned that into the food industry. Now when the children go
I think that's important, about the food, about the kids,
Absolutely.
In fact, ShopRite gives me some little handouts to give out to the to the students, you know. So I cut out no candy, you know. I got to bring them all health food, like fruit, right? And, well, we slip a little soft Philadelphia pretzels in there, you know. That's, you know, it's a little bit, you know. But that is, I think, is very important. You're taking care of what they eat and what they think, I think is great. Yeah. Now, we're not going to ask you another question. I just want to jump off here. All this about the bullies in school.
Okay.
Did you have anything to deal with that?
Yes.
How'd you handle it?
Well, I think there's a lot of research. We were in the Rutgers area there. They were doing some great workshops on how handling it from a legal standpoint, because it becomes a real problem for parents if their child is a bully. But mostly from a guidance standpoint and trying to equip children who are in schools to really protect themselves without physically fighting. So I think we're doing a better job there. But you know, I'll go back to my experience, and we were talking a little bit before the show. I grew up in an urban area, Jersey City, and I've been listening to Philadelphia radio and listening to people talk about the old days, about how the neighborhood was tight, about how people missed that. I think that's what we're trying to get back to. It will never be exactly the basics, same. You know? Well, I just think neighbors need to know neighbors. People, when the kids go to the store, if they know the name of the butcher, the baker, and if they have that type of relationship, I think it makes for a stronger community. Yeah, when I was with the police department, the head of the juvenile division, and bullies, I said, you know, teacher, I said, if you've got a bully, send him down to me, and I got somebody that can fight that bully. You know, not fighting, but with boxing gloves. I put a mouthpiece, headgear, and then we'll see how tough you are. And I had a guy that, he wanted to beat everybody up, and I brought him down, and I got a guy that another kid could fight. It was in 7th grade, you know. And I put him on, trunks and headgear, mouthpiece, and I said, okay, now this is going to be a fight to the finish. Now, you want to beat everybody in the school, you know? I said, so the next thing you know, I said, after they got in there ready to box, and I said, now, do you want to go? There's going to be a fight to the finish, you know? He says, no, I don't want to fight. But see, he wants a fight when he got a crowd around, when he got, you know, he wants to show off, you know? But when it's one-on-one, when a guy can handle it, just stick with a jab and upper up, you know. I think the problem is, though,
that won't solve all the problems, but it'll solve some of the problems with bullies.
When you're an educator, you're as concerned about the bully as you are the victim. That what's going on in that child's life that has to, you know, manifest itself in meanness and whatever. So we're concerned about that issue too. And it all comes back to family and people really working together, and that's what I see in Norristown. That's what I'm seeing here, is the fact that we're sitting here and there's a TV program to talk about these issues is a very healthy thing.
But, you know, here you're educating someone what they eat to be healthy, you know, and also the brain, you know, to work different situations, and I think it's great. That's great.
Brain research will transform education as we know it. I just would like to see it happen sooner than later. The research that's happening, that's out there and available right now, needs to be understood by parents and teachers in order to make adjustments. And the community. And the community.
Absolutely. Right. I think that's and then to have an organization, whether it's you know, steel mill or whatever, to come over and say, look, I'm going to worry about the kids. I'm going to worry about the kids. I'm worrying about the union. The guy goes to work and all that there, but I'm going to worry about the children too. Because that has a lot to do with it. And this bully thing right now is getting to be a big thing. And I think here, where a kid's getting smart, you know, he's learning how to, I don't teach him how to box. I think if everybody knows how to defend themselves, you know.
I'm not sure at cup stacking or being able to physically defend yourself, or chess or tennis or football or soccer, but children need to be an expert at something. And what happens, that buys them some confidence in really moving forward with their lives. And so that's what we're looking to do, is leave many examples available. And the question to parents is, what is your child like? What are they good at? And really promote that. Because what happens is that when they become a piano player or a musician, these things are really forming
some of the
neurons.
Some of the terms in music, you know, like piano. Take it easy. That piano means slow, and you know. So any kind of education, anything, you get as much experience, and this is great. Going into the schools and You know, what a great half hour. You know, I'm really, I really enjoy this. I like to talk to teachers. I like to talk to retired teachers, you know. And I spent my whole life being in the police department dealing with teachers, and so it's been a pleasure here.
Great, thank you.
And I want to,
so much.
and we're going to get see if we can cover that when the kids go into the shop right.
That would be great.
That'd be great.
That would be great.
And we'll have little hoagies and Zeps or something there. We don't want nobody to go home hungry. All these camera guys, you all want to be there, right? Oh yeah, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, thanks a lot for allowing us to come into your home, and I hope that you got something out of it. I know I did. You know, I'm 83 years of age, and I've been a policeman, a boxer, and that. But here I learned more and to rethink about dealing with kids. You know, my own. I'm a grandpa. You know, great grandpa too. So,
yep.
So it's been great time, and I want to thank the Norristown School District for what they do to allow me to put the kind of show on like this, and the ShopRite outfit to be able to pick up the tab and help kids out. Okay. So until we meet again, I'm going to give you a little gift I have here. So this will be
it'll be right on my
little
desk.
thing here.
Thank you.
And don't forget, my show comes on Channel 27 after Oprah. After you watch Oprah, turn on 27, 5 o'clock. No problem, okay? Until we meet again, here, Allah Zalud means to your health, and that's what we're talking about.
You.
We're talking about your health, and we're talking about you. Thank you. Allah Zalud.